Well, Sally Yates' testimony raising questions and concerns about the conduct of former FBI Director James Comey.
Joining us now with his expert insight is former DOJ official Hans von Spakovsky. Hans, it is good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Sure thing. Good morning.
Good morning. What was your standout moment yesterday?
Well, I was just shocked that Sally Yates said that James Comey had gone rogue, but not rogue in conducting an investigation of Michael Flynn when there was no evidence of any kind that he had broken the law. No, she was upset that he hadn't coordinated conducting an unjustified investigation of Michael Flynn. I mean, that's just shocking to me, such a lack of judgment by what was the top official at the Justice Department.
It was interesting. It's interesting to hear all this stuff. I mean, you look at they made such a big deal about Flynn at one point, talking to the Russians when he was the incoming national security advisor. And Republicans were quick to point out, why is that so unusual? When people are coming into administration, they want to set up shop. They want to set up their contacts. Was there anything really inappropriate about that, or did they just use that to do something they shouldn't be doing?
No, they used that to do something they shouldn't be doing. As the incoming national security advisor, it was his job to be speaking to foreign diplomats like the Russian ambassador. There was no justification for what she said in that hearing yesterday, that should prompt a counterintelligence operation. That is just totally wrong.
Where do we go from here?
Well, I think we have to wait for John Durham to do his investigation, because, look, the other thing that came out yesterday was her professing total ignorance of the fact that the applications for the FISA warrants to basically spy on an opposition campaign, she claims she didn't know it was based on political opposition research. Again, I'm just shocked that she would profess such ignorance of what was happening.
Yeah. What about how incestuous it was? I mean, they talked about this. You have Bruce Orr, who works for the Justice Department, works for Sally Yates, and then you have his wife, Nellie, who works for Christopher Steele and Fusion GPS, and how this is all kind of connected together. Talk about that.
Well, yeah, and in fact, Yates said she was supposedly unaware that her deputy was talking to the guy who had, in fact, manufactured that political opposition research. Listen, I used to work in the Justice Department, and the idea that a deputy would keep something like that totally ignorant from their boss, I have a very hard time believing that.
It's his wife's boss, basically, right? He's talking to his wife's boss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Real quick, do we see James Comey and Andrew McCabe testify?
Well, I assume that James Comey, frankly, as arrogant as he is and as unapologetic as he is about his behavior, will come to the hearing and be willing to testify, because he still thinks he didn't do anything wrong. Okay.
Well, it's interesting stuff. It doesn't make for great television, but it is important stuff to look at. So, Hans, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for having me.